Hi, good evening. I'm just trying to wait a bit so that people can join my second night English live streaming on YouTube. And I have actually chosen a very nice photo as the background. This photo was given by one of my friends who lives in Shizuoka, where it's very famous for the Mount Fuji. And how beautiful is that? Amazing. I just wanted to have this celebration feeling from the new year because this image of Mount Fuji is the icon of celebration or something festive or something that's, very happy and nice meaning. So Mount Fuji is in the background, but I'm based in London. Anyways, so today I just would like to have this live streaming on YouTube in English to cover something that is the same topic as Japanese live streaming that I had earlier today around 12 o'clock of UK time and 9 p.m. for Japan time. The topic I covered for the Japanese live streaming was about the reason why Japanese people find English so difficult to learn or to master. And then those reasons, if I think about it, is quite interesting because it comes from the cultural background, and also Japanese mentality also comes from lots of different parts of Japanese culture. And I just wanted to have think of why, especially for Japanese people, to find it difficult to study and also be able to speak or communicate in English. And then that's the reason that I just wanted to share my experience. I wanted to share my ideas of why Japanese people find it so difficult to learn English. And then that was the same topic from earlier, that when I had Japanese live streaming. And I just would like to start covering the points of those reasons. Okay? And well, because I am unlike other Japanese people, I'm a bit different, probably unusual type of Japanese person, but many Japanese people are shy. And then probably if you know any Japanese person from your, let's say, work or school, if you are non-Japanese and also English native speakers, for example, if you know Japanese friends or person, you probably think, oh, Japanese people are shy or polite, but not so talkative when it comes to communication. That's the kind of general image or something that you will notice when you talk to Japanese people. They say, yay, or yeah. But do they say much? Probably not. Unless they, of course, are confident in language, they probably say something. But in many cases, if the Japanese person is not so used to communicating in English, they tend to be very shy or a bit not too open. Okay. And I was wondering why Japanese people are shy. And then I just wanted to dig into that because there's a reason. And then when I talked about it earlier in the Japanese session, the people who are listening kind of agreed and then also are convinced, understood what I was saying as native Japanese speakers themselves. The reason why Japanese people are shy or not so talkative is because there is a strong foundation of Japanese mentality, thinking, okay, I don't want to say much, but could you understand if I don't say much? And then if you could understand it, that's the starting point of building up the trust. Everybody is trying to read the atmosphere of the room and then thinking, what does this person exactly want from the conversation or meetings or discussion? Japanese people do not show the actual emotions or what they're thinking in their facial expressions because, firstly, they don't want to have any disagreement unnecessarily because the theme of Japanese society is supposed to be harmony, and do not want to distract any discussion by saying something completely opposite or something completely different. Many people have these ideas of, okay, plan A sounds good, but plan B's this part might be weak. So shall I say this now or not? And then usually they don't say it because they were going ahead with plan A anyway. And then plan B's something was not so great. But if that person wants to say that and then show it to the others, some people might say, yes, oh, that's a good idea to change it. Other people might say, no, let's stay. Or let's just leave it as it is. And then if this person senses, okay, I might have some disagreement, or if this person might stop the discussion and then pause it, and then discussion might not go forward because of that, she feels like, oh, okay, I probably should not say anything right now. And then probably if I can just raise it after the meeting to the people directly, it might be better. Many people are afraid of making some sort of distraction in the group, small group, or people, the community. They don't want to stand out by saying something different. And then they also expect others to understand your ideas by saying nothing and trying to understand the others, the person, she or her, himself, she or he, yeah, they will probably try to understand others, way of thinking as well at the same time. Therefore, Japanese people's communication is completely depending on the conversation without conversation. This is a silent understanding, reading each other's mood or mind somehow by being there, reading the atmosphere, then understand it automatically. And then that's how the trust is built up. And it's very unusual if I think about English communications with native English speakers. Here, living in this country for the last 23 years, I feel that anyone that I talk to in English get back to me saying something honest and also quite simply what they're thinking about. And then they never, well, I shouldn't say never, but in many ways, they are trying to finish the conversation by showing what they're really thinking so that the conversation becomes actual discussion and comes to the point where we can agree by discussing it. But Japanese people tend to avoid it because of the hesitation of showing what they are actually thinking. And that's how Japanese people look shy, because they don't say much in public, especially. And then I think people are taught to be like that. And that's how I feel, that I was taught like that. Unfortunately, though, I was never shy in my life, especially when I was in Japan. I was always the leader of the student committee, for example, and taking lead of any of the groups that I had for Japanese schools and the community that I belonged to. However, when it comes to English communication, lots of obstacles here for the Japanese people because of the cultural backgrounds, and this shyness is one thing definitely that I can raise as a point, that many Japanese people don't even realize that when they do that. But anyways, that's how they expect others to understand you without saying anything. And then that actually is proven by the fact Japanese language does not have subject. When they talk about something, they don't mention who did what, who, that part who. Yes, subject does not exist in Japanese. And that's strange for English speakers, because in English we do have subject, verb, or some sort of action. And it's quite clear. The structure is very clear, the grammar-wise. Subject and then action. But in Japanese, it's very difficult for outsiders or people who don't understand the conversation. It's very difficult for them to know what exactly people are talking about because of this, because of the fact there's no subject or surroundings as the information. And then that's one thing that I realized, that Japanese people trying to have this conversation by making it as vague as possible, unclear as possible, so that the person you're talking to is someone special or somebody that you find it very familiar or have trust. So for example, I can say to my mom, あれ見た? あれ見た? If I can translate it by word by word, あれ means that. Then 見た means watched. So I only said watched that. But of course, if I want to make sense in English, I should add, did you watch that? But in Japanese, those you or did does not exist. And then simply I say, あれ見た? Then my mom has to think about what is あれ, which means what is that. And of course, when people say such things, there's always automatic moment or more automatic reasoning by using such vague words, it's almost like some sort of passcode type of thing between people. If you can use such vague language to somebody that you talk to, yes, this means like it's understood, and then it's got a strong bonding and trust between those two people who are having conversation in such a vague and unclear wordings. And that's deliberate. Because you want to be close to the others, you are using completely like unknown language to the others. And then if you don't say much, then people understand you, and then that's how they build the relationship and trust. And if you can trust these people, you will start using more and more vague expressions in daily life. Of course, business conversations, business occasions, much more formal and more detailed, yes. But in real life, in Japan, when you actually try to catch or understand the people in town, yes, a cafe or whatever, we will probably find it difficult to understand whose action was it, whose topic was it. And it's very, very difficult, even for Japanese people, when they don't know the person, or when they don't know the people's relationship, then probably difficult to understand in many ways. But I think it's really important to know such background when you try to understand Japanese language, why there's no subject and then still people understand. It's because that's their way of building trust. It's quite interesting when I noticed this, and I found it difficult at first when I was studying English on textbooks, or when teachers trying to explain what is the subject, what is the verb, etc., adjective, But native speakers don't care about such things, but they naturally speak. But for most learners for foreign languages, they have to, of course, come from somewhere, start from somewhere, and then they, of course, have to know the grammar. And then there is a big difference between English and Japanese in terms of the grammar difference. And the biggest difference I always feel is that the conclusion, okay? When Japanese people speak in Japanese, conclusion always comes in the end. Conclusion of the whole idea, when I talk about something, always described at the end of the conversation. On the other hand, English concludes beginning of the conversation. For example, if you decide something, you say, I decided. So it's already clear for the others that this person decided on something. But in Japanese, the order of the words is always like that. I have been to this place, that place, and that place as well. And then finally comes to this point, and in the end, I decided. Okay? So the conversation-wise, and also I work as interpreter between English and Japanese, Japanese and English. The biggest challenge for me is translating something in Japanese into, translate Japanese into English is very difficult. The reason is because, especially if it's about the business deal or some sort of agreement that they want to have. There are two parties, British side and Japanese side. And Japanese side, when they try to turn down the offer or deal, what they do is always trying to find the good parts or positive parts of the discussion in the past first. So they mention, yeah, I think your product is great. And also the relationship we have built until now has been great. However, they comes to the point where they have to decline the offer. And then the order of what they're saying, they praise. Then finally, but unfortunately, decline. Okay. And then when that happens, I just need to know the results or outcome first as an interpreter, because if I start having the interpretation of first part is very good and then nice and then positive, and then suddenly becomes quite negative, like the answer is no, I just have to be prepared for it when I translate it. On the other hand, between English and Japanese, if I need to translate from English to Japanese, it's not challenging because I can sense from the very beginning that this conversation will go which way. And especially, I regret to say, for example, if the person says it at the beginning, I can already sense that there's something bad or something, not nice will happen. And I can mention that to Japanese people by such preparation in advance. It's very difficult for Japanese language to sense or understand the actual reaching point when they start talking. And then that's the biggest challenge that I find when I have the interpreter role when Japanese companies explaining something and then English companies explaining something. It's very, very different. I have to be prepared to say something so that they can negotiate properly and then not to, of course, cause any friction as much as possible. It has to be quite, smooth and understanding the cultural backgrounds for each way. From both sides, I have to be there to bridge between. So I think the result or conclusion in English is much, much easier for me to sense it. And in Japanese language, complete opposite. And also, I think another point that I would like to raise when it comes to Japanese people's hesitance of talking in English, it comes from the rudeness. They have to always be polite, yes, because politeness in Japanese is translated as 礼儀正しい, which means correct in courtesy. And 礼儀, lei is bow, yes, bowing. You see many Japanese people bowing each other all the time. And then bowing comes from martial arts. Okay, I used to play kendo. And then 礼に始まり、礼に終わる, which means you begin with bowing and then you end with bowing. You will be required to bow all the time to start the match and then end the match, because you have to respect the others so that they can just compete each other, but with respect. Then that's such a beautiful culture that I love about Japanese. And this politeness needs to be kept all the time for Japanese people. But because of that, it's actually becoming the obstacle of learning English when it comes to, trying to be perfect in terms of the making one sentence, English sentence. Perfect sentence must be there in their heads before they start speaking. And that was exactly what I had when I came to the UK for the first time as a student at the college in Cambridge. I was taking drama foundation course. And I myself, as I said, have not been ever shy. Okay, I'm very open and I'm always like, I have opinions and ideas. In Japanese, I felt no hesitation when I was asked about my opinion. I was saying that, unlike other Japanese people. But when it comes to English communication, I had to stop and think, and what am I going to say now? Because I was so serious about making a complete sentence for each conversation. Each line must be completed. Okay, must be perfect. And then that was definitely something that was stopping my English development completely. Because when I was at high school, I was very good in terms of taking exam, having good scores, because Japanese English education only depending on the memorizing of vocabulary, grammar order, and if you know it, you can get high score. And then that's what I think being always the case for me, to have good score. And then I thought that I was good at English, but not for communication, because no one tells Japanese student how to communicate. And I was just thinking too much of grammar. And if, for example, I make any mistake in terms of the order or in terms of the wording, if I make any mistake, I was presuming that nobody would understand me, or it becomes so impolite or rude if I do not say one word in the correct position in the sentence. I was just afraid of making mistakes. And then that comes from having this politeness always kept and always considered as the most important thing when you communicate in Japanese. Therefore, when I had to go to a post office in Cambridge after 2 months of being in this country, only 2 months, yes. So I was still not fluent. I was still not confident, but I had to buy one stamp on the postcard. Yes, I was going to send a postcard to Australia and another one to Japan. So it means I needed 2 stamps in total, but one for Australia, one for Japan. And that's what I needed anyway to buy. How simple is that? I was only 19, only living in this country for 2 months. Then I had to go to the local post office. And then I was queuing. And then many people actually wait. And then nicely in this country, this is what I love about. They are very patient and then having a longer queue. Then, my turn. I had to go to the counter and then had to explain why I'm here, right? So I actually try to say the complete sentence in English to explain what I wanted. And then what happened was quite simply, I said, could you? Then my brain froze. Or I was trying to say, could I? Could you? Like that. Completely, my brain has become completely blank. No other words coming out. And then I was just there saying, could you only? And then, of course, the person behind the counter says, so what would you like? And then she wasn't that helpful anyway, but she was just frustrated because of the long queue. Yes, behind me there were 4 or 5 people already queuing. And then I couldn't say much. And then in the end, so what would you like? What would you like? Do you want to buy something? Or would you like to send something? Probably she was saying such things, but I was just panicking completely. Then this, whole communication stopped, paused. And then I was like, okay, bye. And then I actually had to leave the post office. Oh my God. It's so sad, isn't it? And I came back to my room in the accommodation, student accommodation. And, hi. Thank you for coming back. And I was just so frustrated with myself. And also, I was always trying to be perfect, as I said, when I talk in English. Then I couldn't find the correct expression for that. Could you, or could I, or whatever. And I was just couldn't say anything. Then I started crying. And I was wondering what would be the best way in that case. On the next day, I had a class, and then there are classmates who are all English or English speakers, English native speakers. And then one of my classmates, she actually helped me a lot during that time in Cambridge. Hi, thank you for coming back. Thank you. And this girl, talked to me, and then I had to ask her for help because I wasn't sure what to say. And even if she's a native speaker, English speaker, I was trying my best to explain what exactly happened at the post office. So the situation is that I wanted to buy 2 stamps, one for Australia, one for Japan, that I can put on the postcards I wanted to send, right? But I couldn't find the right expression. I explained to her, and then she advised like this. You are actually thinking too much. You have to be simple, she said. You have to say, one stamp for Australia, one stamp for Japan, please. And then show the postcards. And then I said, what? And then she goes, you can just even say one for Australia, one for Japan, and showing the postcards, and then she will understand it. And then I realized, oh my God, I was just too serious about it. I was thinking too much about it. But this actually action of trying to complete the whole sentence like perfectly, hello, is definitely a general way of thinking for Japanese people. So my advice or my suggestion to anyone who is now listening to my live streaming in English, whom I suppose that you guys are English speakers, right? Or native English people. If you see any Japanese people trying to say something but not sure what to say and then stop, could you just give them a word saying, relax, don't try to be perfect. Then they will find the conversation easy and more relaxed. Hi, thank you. Hello, thank you very much. So yeah, I think it's such an important point to understand where this Japanese people's mentality comes from, and then it comes from they are trying to avoid any rudeness or impoliteness by saying something incomplete. But we can be incomplete in terms of the general conversation, practical conversation at the post office, for example, one for Australia, one for Japan. Please, it's fine. Now, of course, I know. Hello, hi. Could I have some stamps, please? I just need one for Japan and one for Australia, and here the postcard. I can say that. But back then, I cannot form any sentence. I cannot form any English. I was just saying, could you? Only because I was taught by the textbook in Japanese high school saying you have to start the conversation with could you or could I, so that you can show them the respect and politeness. It is true, though. It is true. But it's not always the case. And an adaptation and flexibility completely lacking in Japanese English education. They always tell you what to memorize. But nobody's perfect in memorizing something like that. And then I felt that, oh, I have to relax myself. And then I can make mistakes. It's fine. Nobody gets offended unless I start ordering something by saying, go there, get me something. Okay. As long as I say, excuse me, could you help? Then trying to form something, some English by new word or new vocabulary that I have never used, then probably or most likely that the people you are talking to, the native speakers, will try to understand. But I was just so scared of making mistakes. So please remember, anybody who is listening to this session tonight, try to warn Japanese people, just, making mistakes is not a sin. Making mistakes is fine, as long as you say something and then trying to make themselves understood. And then that's it, isn't it? I think Japanese people should be more open and also trying to have conversation by saying something at least. don't stop there by saying could you, could I. It comes from my experience, and then I always find this with anybody who's been here for like for the first time, for example. And then when I try to help them, they tend to be saying, oh yeah, I don't know how to form English, I don't know the English grammar, they say. Japanese people I meet. So I think please I would like everybody to remember to tell Japanese people you don't have to worry about making mistakes. It's fine. Make mistakes and learn from it. And that's the only way, to me, to advise Japanese people how to improve your English by using it, by experiencing it. And then that's the only way. So I just remember those things, those experiences from the time in Cambridge, the very first year that I was studying as a student, and absolutely no experience to live outside of Japan, and everything I saw in that first year is staying in my memory. It's just such a vivid memory from my first year. So yeah, I think Japanese people's mentality comes from such cultural backgrounds. And also I have to remind you that Japanese English education system is it's quite formalized, and always telling people to say this and that in textbooks, yes. Therefore, another interesting story that I didn't actually cover in the Japanese session, I forgot to cover in my Japanese live streaming earlier, but I just wanted to share this story before I go tonight, is that Japanese people's greeting in English taught in the textbook is so stylized, okay? And it says, hello, how are you? Yes, I am fine, thank you. And you? No other expressions taught. Therefore, when the native English teacher is assigned, yes, for junior high school or secondary school, yes, or high school, and then native English speakers who are visiting or living temporarily in Japan will go to those local schools in Japan, and then students all say exactly the same thing when the English teacher comes in, and then say, oh, hi guys, hi everybody, how are you? And then they go, I'm fine, thank you, and you? All together. And that's why if you just find any Japanese people in town or any Japanese friends you talk to, ask them, oh, how are you? They always are prepared to say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? But the point is that if you are fine, it's fine to say that. But sometimes you might not feel so well, or so-so, or well, I had a bad night last night, or I had a headache earlier this morning. If that's the case, you should be telling that as a, let's say, honest conversation. If you're having a frank and nice casual conversation, you should say that. But most Japanese people are taught only, I'm fine, thank you, and you? So if they suffered from COVID, for example, last week or yesterday, they had temperature, they never tell you. But they say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? I just find this so funny and not not right, to be honest. I always say now, I always say if I'm not so well, I'm prepared to say, well, actually, I had a very little sleep and I'm a bit tired, but still surviving, or something like that. Or I can say, yeah, I'm feeling better, but I had a cold last week, so I'm still recovering. That's the honesty, and then that's the actual communication to tell how you are, right? But the school children, the primary school, secondary school, high school, every time English class is happening, everybody, let's say together, I'm fine, thank you. That's a mistake they're making, actually. They should tell each individual student, how are you now, actually? Are you not tired? You have to question. This is always something that I find it funny and also interesting to see as a Japanese English education. Okay, because it's a harmony. Japanese people like to harmonize, so they would like to say exactly the same thing, so that, okay, I'm fine, and you, and then the person says, yes, I'm good, thank you, and then the conversation goes smooth or nicely, you know. They don't want to disagree, right? But you know, even if you're not feeling and say that, it doesn't cause any issue. People get, of course, worried, or give you probably something like, oh, are you okay? You don't have to do too much today, then you can just go home and rest because it's Friday. Yes. This is what I love about the culture here in London. When I work, I used to work for the local company, with no Japanese people around, and then on Friday, they just stopped working after noon, like after 12 o'clock, lunchtime, and then one of the managers started bringing in some bottle of wine. Yeah, I love it. It's great. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to share this with you guys, because how different is it between Japanese culture, Japanese language, and English language and English culture. I love to see such difference and then share this with many people who don't know much about it. I would like to tell you how serious Japanese people can be. I hope you enjoyed my session tonight about why Japanese people find English so difficult, and what kind of mentality Japanese people have when it comes to learning English. They are very serious, 100%. And then that's, a good part, definitely. But if they are too serious or thinking too much, it can be an obstacle. So my advice to any Japanese people who want to improve their English is definitely relax, not worry too much, make mistakes and learn from it. That's what I want to tell them, so that they can start feeling easier when it comes to English learning, and they can definitely improve. And it took me 23 years, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. Probably after 10 years or something, I felt a bit better. But it takes ages, to be honest, because Japanese language is positioned. There was a graph that I saw on social media the other day, and then vertical axis and the horizontal axis. Vertical was grammar, and horizontal axis was pronunciation. And then if you place English here as the 0.0, and then like German, for example, is located quite close on the grammar, and then pronunciation is a little bit different. So German people, of course, can speak very good English because the language character is quite similar compared to English. But do you know what? Where Japanese language was located is from this graph. This here is English, and Japan was located around here, completely other side. That's how distanced as language. Yes. Therefore, for any non-Japanese speakers to learn Japanese is a challenge. Same thing, Japanese people to learn English is a challenge. Therefore, they don't have to rush themselves to be perfect or to be very good, but they can just see it as a quite distanced way, so they can always feel more relaxed and try their, of course, best, then learn something day by day. That's how people can learn such difficult language in terms of grammar and pronunciation difference. I can actually send this graph if you want, because I got it from one of the Japanese pronunciation research institute. So if you know my Instagram or Facebook or Messenger that you're connected with me, message me. I can just send this graph image to you so that I can show you where Japanese language compared to English. Yeah, it's very interesting. Anyways, thank you very much. Did you enjoy? I hope you did. And I try to have this in archive somehow after this live streaming. And then if you found this topic interesting, could you try to share it with your friends around so that they can enjoy and understand where this whole thing of Japanese mentality comes from for English learning? That would be amazing. Yeah. That's right. Thank you for the comment. I'm just reading it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think I know, like feminine and also like a muscular, way of speaking, because that happens to many of the kids, boys who were born between the English husband and the Japanese wife, and then the kids, if they're boys, they always talk to mothers, Japanese mother. So the way they talk can sound like middle-aged female because expressions they learn is coming from their mom. Yeah, that's why it happens a lot. They copy, and that's the way kids learn language, I think. Yeah, good. Well, so as I said, if you could share this live streaming happening, and then also by the nice presenter like myself, Mochi, and I always talk about the cultural differences between Japan and the UK, and probably Europe as well. And also, I will be demonstrating in the future sessions the Japanese singing and difference between Japanese singing and other parts of the world, for example. It will be very interesting. And I would like everybody to remember to subscribe my YouTube channel and also get the notification for my live streaming so that you don't miss any of it. But this one, I would like to leave it in the archive so that you can watch it again from the very beginning. It will be available soon after this session ends. I try to change the setting to public. So if you could remember to share this, that would be amazing, because there are people who probably are interested in the topics that I cover. Anyways, thank you very much, guys, for listening. It's almost like it works as a radio type of thing, I think, podcast or radio, my talk. If you don't mind, please come back. And then tomorrow, unfortunately, I have some work to do, so I cannot do this live streaming. But when I have live streaming, I will post it on my Facebook and also Instagram. And the next one is scheduled for Monday. Okay, so Monday, 9 o'clock UK time is English streaming that I'm planning. Then if you're interested in Japanese live streaming, it's happening at 12 o'clock UK time and then 9 p.m. for Japan time. So there are always two different time slots, one for Japanese, one for English. I hope that you can kind of regularly expect my live streamings. I try to I'm aiming to have this every day if possible. But if the time I have to work or outside, I try to have it on the next earliest availability. Okay? So hope that you have wonderful Sunday tomorrow, and hope to see you on Monday at 9 p.m. UK time again. And then please message me if you have any methods to contact me on Instagram, direct message, or Messenger on Facebook or WhatsApp, whatever you have contact. I think Instagram is the easiest way for anybody who's not being in touch with me privately. But if you have any ways of giving me feedback, that would be amazing. But finally, I just want to say one more time that thank you very much for listening tonight, and hope to see you on Monday, and enjoy your Sunday too. Thank you. And have a lovely weekend. Bye for now. Thank you very much.